Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. In today's video, we're going to get into some technical analysis on XRP, SHX, and HBAR. Towards the end of this video breakdown, giving you guys some updated price predictions and targets, given the fact that we could potentially see a continuation of dollar strength or what could happen if we see dollar weakness, and then also going over some targets that have been met and covered in the CYPRX private channel. So if you guys enjoy these video breakdowns, do us a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. I'm going to try and keep this video short and sweet. So first, in our private analysis section, there were massive opportunities to be made in the call out section this week, i.e. giving our analysis ahead of the curve, covering fundamentals, talking about where price could potentially go, giving our private members accurate call outs via technical analysis and fundamentals well in advance. So first, I want to take your attention to the most important thing. Now, we gave this information out to you guys publicly, but this is also some information that we give to our private community members, where I said, ideally, what we want to see to sustain the current bullish momentum and risk assets for intraday trades is lower inflation readings on both a yearly and monthly basis. That would be preferable. This is because lower inflation readings often prompt central banks to consider rate cuts, and environments with lower interest rates tend to favor risk assets, right? Now, what did we see today? We saw lower PCE price index year over year. The month over month did come out on forecast at 0.4%, so no increase there. The unemployment claims also came out unfavorable, higher than forecast and higher than previous readings. And the Chicago PMI and pending home sales also came out downbeat, which weighed on the dollar intraday for trading positions during the beginning of New York session, driving dollar weakness at the beginning of the session and creating a nice little pump continuation on digital assets across the board. Now, I'm just going to show you guys the information in the private CYPRX channel, because individuals in this community, if they're even just in the monthly membership section, had an opportunity to gain way more money on their overall initial deposits into this digital asset space than we actually charge for the monthly membership section, which just goes to show the opportunities that we provide here at CYPRX for people to capitalize on, given our call outs and our fundamental breakdowns. So I'm going to take your attention to SHX, okay? You can see here that on Thursday, February 22nd, at roughly around 4:16 p.m., we were telling individuals that we were looking to take dollar cost average positions on SHX at around 0.008, right? So you guys can see that screenshot. Now, if we head over to the SHX charts, you can see here that this message was sent where this green circle is roughly around the 22nd of February, where we mentioned dollar cost average levels into SHX at the 0.008 cycle level. Multiple days after, on the 28th of February, those targets had been met. So any CYPRX private monthly members that invested capital into this dollar cost average level that was mentioned ahead of the curve would have experienced over 35% gains. With that being said, ideally, a $250 investment into SHX at roughly around the 0.008 cent psychological level would have turned into roughly around $337, completely paying for the monthly membership that we charge, plus some extra capital, just as an example. Okay, so this is the value of understanding patience, understanding dollar cost average levels properly, and actually giving these callouts ahead of the curve. So this was SHX in a nutshell. Now, we are looking at some potential dollar strength back on the table. So with that being said, I'm going to go over some scenarios on both SHX, HBAR, and XRP, given if we do see dollar strength break out of this range, heading back above 104.200 key psychological level to come and revisit these previous highs. Now, specifically just focusing on SHX, if we do see some price action like this on dollar, where we break out of this region and we see a stronger dollar coming back to revisit these highs, what we're looking for on SHX is for a revisitation of the low 0.007 cent range. I'll go ahead and I'll mark those on for you. If we break the 0.007 cent range where this previous demand zone took place at, then our next bearish targets are going to be roughly around the 0.05, right? This is only a scenario that we expect to play out if we see dollar strength. Bearish targets number one would be the 0.07. If that level is broken to the downside with a bearish close below on the higher time frame, our next bearish targets would be the 0.05. Inversely, If we cannot have a sustainable bullish hold above the top of this range, roughly around 104.200, and we start to break lower underneath of this range, closing below the 103.7, then on SHX, we're looking for a bullish turnaround, where as long as we are holding above the 0.007 psychological level, we'd be looking for higher targets, either a continuation buys from where we are at now, a revisitation of these lows down at around 0.008 for further or better buy positions, or a revisitation of 0.007 cents for potential repositioning and better buys down here at this level to look for higher price action. With that being said, our immediate bullish targets on SHX would be these highs here, roughly coming in at around the psychological level 0.1200. All right, so SHX in a nutshell, bearish targets, bullish targets done out of the way, showing you guys how we properly dollar cost average in. Let's move over to HBAR. Okay, HBAR was an absolutely phenomenal call out to the absolute T of a degree. Now, I want you all to focus inside our private CYPRX community how we give these price call outs and what we said needed to be paid attention to. So you can see in our private section, Sunday, February 25th, HBAR first weekly projection. We gave out these scenarios, i.e. scenario number 2, and these targets of roughly around 12.5 cents. And you can see here what we mentioned needed to take place in order for these targets to come into fruition. We needed to see downbeat US data, lower inflation readings, strengthening the rate cut narrative, dollar staying below 104.100, which we're currently sitting at now, heading towards the low 103s, which we got during the beginning of New York session, and a risk on market move. We mentioned the bullish targets would be 0.12.5 cents, right? We also mentioned that as long as price holds above 9 cents, pullback for better buys is okay, giving them a full technical analysis breakdown before the move came out. Again, you can see that this was sent on Sunday, February 25th. Now, looking at HBAR's price action and zooming in, we can see here, this green circle down at the bottom of my charts is Sunday, February 25th, where that analysis was sent out. What metrics did we get? Again, that gave us the confidence to place some dollar cost average positions on HBAR to see price come up into 12.5 cents. Well, I already went over the inflation data, right? And the dwindling economic data on the US front that we got today, which were metrics in the private Discord that we wanted to see. Downbeat US data, lower inflation readings, things of that nature, which we got today to the absolute T of a degree, coupled with dollar weakness at the beginning of the session, which we also got, right? You guys can see that at the beginning of New York session, the dollar sold off down into the low 103s. With that being said, inversely, that allowed for HBAR to flourish, breaking these previous structure highs and rallying up into roughly around 12.5 cents. Now, just to go over some immediate bullish and bearish targets on HBAR, given the same scenario plays that we just covered on SHX, if we see further dollar strength, and what to see if we see further dollar weakness. On HBAR, we are going to remain bullish above 10.5 to 9 cents, give or take some healthy corrections to come and correct some of this previous bullish move from the lows to the highs, as long as dollar stays suppressed below the 104. Again, these highs here in particular, not breaking out of this range. Let's just say below the 104.400. And we can see dollar fail to break out of this range, come back in the range, or traverse lower. On HBAR, what we would be looking for ideally, give or take some slight pullbacks intraday, would be further buys from 10.5 cents, continuation buys from where we are at now, or deeper retracement buys down into 9 cents for better buy positions to come back to the upside. Our immediate bullish targets on HBAR is going to be if price can either revisit 12.5 cents or break higher to come up into 13 cents as our next bullish target. To the downside, i.e. the opposite scenario, that's if dollar flips bullish, we break out of this previous range, sustain a bullish hold above the 104.200, and start to head back to attack these previous intraday highs, a scenario like this, where we see continued dollar strength, would most likely result in HBAR correcting more of this previous bullish move. Our first bearish targets, if this scenario on dollar plays out, is going to be a pullback down into 9 cents, where we will reassess if dollar strength continues, if we get a 9-cent HBAR, meaning that dollar breaks the previous high and heads back above 105, with HBAR at around 9 cents, if we were to break bearish below that level, our next bearish targets underneath of 9 cents are going to be a revisitation of the 7.5-cent range, or for price to come back down into this previous demand range before we had this nice explosive move, which sent us into 12.5 cents. So ideally, if we see dollar strength continue above the 104.400, making its way back towards the previous 11-week highs from back on the 13th of February at roughly around 104.900, we'd be looking for a scenario like this to play out on HBAR, with the first bearish targets being 9 cents, second bearish targets being roughly around 7.5 cents for better buying opportunities. Bullish and bearish targets out of the way on HBAR, showing you guys again in the private CYPRX community. Let's again just play through a scenario where if you look at where we sent this price action analysis on HBAR ahead of the curve, back on, looking at the timestamp, February 25th at 2:37 p.m. Sunday. So let's go look at the charts right here. Sunday, February 25th. If our members were to have plugged capital in at these lows, their portfolio would have been up 20%, right? So again, we give these updates on a daily and weekly basis every single weekend. We also give out our personal dollar cost average levels to keep our students and our members in the flow and in the know. All right. Last but not least, we have XRP. XRP was another phenomenal call out given the manipulation that took place with the Coinbase crash that happened yesterday. Okay, so you guys can see here at 7:34 p.m. Wednesday, February 28th. You guys know I like timestamps. We sent out this analysis here on XRP. You can see where price action was at, roughly at around 57 cents. We were targeting the 63-cent range, and I said to them, scenario number one would be weak US data, dollar below 104, heading back towards 103, lower core PCE price index month over month and year over year, higher unemployment claims 209 or above, downbeat Chicago PMI missing the forecast at 48.1 or below 50, and downbeat pending home sales, which we got to the absolute T of a degree, all those things in advance, plus XRP holding above 55 cents. So all of these metrics allowed XRP to flourish and rally roughly up into 62.5 cents, almost reaching our 63-cent target. And again, we sent this information out in advance. So let's just go look at the XRP charts real fast so I can show you all where this information came out and the beautiful price action that played out. I actually want to kind of get into a little bit more of a detailistic perspective as to how in this area you could have scaled into some intraday positions using our strategy. So this green circle was yesterday, Wednesday, February 28th, roughly around 7 p.m., where we gave this analysis again in advance, pre-planned, breaking down fundamentals coupled with technical analysis, what aspects we wanted to see in the market in order to see XRP rally up into 63 cents. You can see XRP's price action from time of sending that analysis out to the students rallied roughly around 8.5%. So not only on SHX with our opportunities given in the private community ahead of the curve, but also on HBAR and XRP for some potential percentage gains on overall capital allocation, right? Absolutely phenomenal. So let's just cover this. Let's jump down to the lower time frame. Let's turn on our session indicators using our CYPRX strategy, utilizing a couple of the CYPRX 2.0 methodologies that we pay attention to. How could you, after we gave this analysis, if you were in our private community, scale it into positions to capitalize on this bullish move? Well, first, what we like to pay attention to is trading with the trend of the overall market makers. We can see using our session indicators that Asia session was buying at this low. You can see Asia session right here, indicated by our session splits. You can see that London session was buying at this low. With that being said, most of us here are New York session traders. So that means that we would have only been looking at XRP price action in this given area, right? So how could we, given the students woke up, saw the analysis that we were looking for a 63-cent XRP, which is all the way up here, capitalized on some dollar cost average positions in this area by analyzing previous price action? Well, what we like to pay attention to is buying at a discount from where previous banking institutions bought from after price has broken structure and given us a discounted buying opportunity. Well, here you can see if we were just tracking where Asia session bought from, highlighting from the candlestick bodies down to the wick and extending that over to the right-hand side, this would have been an interesting area where if price discounted into, we could be looking for buying opportunities. Also, we have London session buying at these lows. Again, looking at bearish structure, seeing how that bearish structure was overpowered by buyers. How can we see that? Buyers creating new highs in the market and sellers failing to make new structure lows. You can see here, this high from where London session was buying broke this previous market structure high. And then after, we failed to create new swing lows in the market, i.e. the definition of bearish order flow, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And instead, we started to create the definition of bullish order flow. You can see here, this is a higher low in comparison to where London session was buying from. So just like how we highlighted from the Asia session lows and extended that over to the right-hand side, we'd be doing the same thing for where London session was buying from, extending from the candlestick bodies down to the wick and dragging that over to the right-hand side to see where New York session could potentially be buying from, knowing that these banking institutions like to buy from where previous banking institutions bought from. So remember, if we're looking to trade this New York session, we are looking to be buyers from either this area of discount where Asia session was buying from, or this area of discount where London session was buying from, keeping in mind that overall, right, overall, the banking institutions had a massive sell-off in price, are now failing to create bearish order flow prior to the sessions, looking to trade in tandem with that order flow. You can see here, when New York session opened, what did they do? They simply dropped price down into a discount from where London session was buying from, i.e. you can see via the session indicators, London session was facilitating buy orders during their session, breaking previous bearish market structure, creating new higher highs and higher lows in the market. All that was left for our New York session traders in the CYPRX private community to do, if they had paid attention to this analysis, obviously, of course, was dial into the fundamentals, which we got to the absolute T of a degree. We got lower inflation readings, higher unemployment claims, and downbeat Chicago PMI and pending home sales figures. That is all in correlation with the analysis that we sent in advance. All that was left for them to do was determine where a healthy discounted price was going to be, which I just showed you how we personally like to do it here at CYPRX, highlighting from where banking institutions bought from previously. Now, with that being said, we would have taken our Fibonacci from these lows to the high to determine that this was a healthy discounted price. Again, remember, we like to buy anywhere between 62 to 100% discount from where previous banks were buying from. And you can see New York session came straight down into this discounted area, bought up price, projecting it all the way up into roughly around 62.5 cents, almost reaching our 63-cent target. So again, another analysis given to the private CYPRX community. This is now 3 analysis back to back to back. If anybody had allocated capital into the market when we actually gave that analysis out when price was here, they would have again experienced over 8% on their overall portfolio, right? So 35% gains on SHX. Over, if we're just looking at HBAR, 20% gains on HBAR from where we were telling our private community we were looking to dollar cost average in at, and over 9% gains on XRP. So in a nutshell, over 55% gains within 3 different assets, technical analysis given in advance to the private community. Now let's go over XRP price action, what we're projecting if we see further continued dollar strength or weakness, okay? So in a nutshell, on XRP, let's go to the higher time frame real fast before we hop off here. Let's turn off some of these session indicators and let's look at some previous highs. So if XRP price can violate and stay sustainable above 63 cents, our next bullish targets, if we can break these highs at roughly around 63 cents on XRP, is going to be these highs roughly at around 68 cents for us to see an extension move, give or take some slight pullbacks. Hopefully we can see a slight squeeze up into roughly around 66 to 68 cents to come and clear out some of these highs. This scenario would take place if we further saw dollar weakness staying suppressed underneath of these previous highs around 104.3 to 104.4, failing to have a sustainable break and hold above this range, coming back down into the range and breaking these previous lows. This is the price action that we would expect to see on XRP if we got those scenarios playing out. Inversely, most likely scenario that would play out on XRP and our bearish targets are going to be 55 cents being the first bearish target for a potential revisitation of these previous demand range where XRP price significantly increased from before. If we break the 55-cent range, our next bearish targets are going to be 50 cents to come and clear out some more of these lows here. That is, if we see a sustainable break and close bearish beneath 55 cents, 50 cents will be our next bearish target. And this is if we see increased dollar strength. All right. Bullish and bearish targets out of the way on XRP, SHX, and HBAR, showing you guys that within our monthly membership section, the community literally pays for itself. All these call outs given in advance, dollar cost average levels sent in advance, full fundamental breakdowns, all given to the private community members well before the news fundamentals come out. If you guys want access to our private CYPRX monthly membership, visit cyprxtrading.com. We'd love to have motivated individuals on the team that are looking to learn, further their education, and join a motivated team that is thriving in this market. Many blessings to you guys. As always, be cognizant, be aware. With that being said, I will see you guys in the next video breakdown.